Welcome to Generate Spring 2021 Showcase. This is our third virtual showcase and our most exciting one yet. In addition to keeping the tradition of showing off all of the amazing work that our teams have been doing, we're going to be adding some new content as well. This year marks 5 years of Generate projects. And in order to celebrate that, we're going to be talking to some of the people who made it happen all along the way. In addition, it's been 1 year since we were forced to move into a virtual environment due to the COVID-19 pandemic. This has been an immense challenge for us as an organization and for the individuals inside of our community. But despite this, our community has not only survived, but we have thrived. And we're going to highlight some of the members who have made it all happen. So now I'm incredibly excited to get us started with celebrating 5 years of Generate.
Seemed there was this pretty sizable gap. Whenever companies or entrepreneurs found themselves looking to build anything that was hardware related, anything that was kind of required deep technical knowledge beyond what the founder or what the team had available to them. More specifically, it meant there were a lot of companies moving through the community that had a lot of cool ideas, but no plans on how to actually make them happen, unless for some reason they had kind of the team available already or a lot of money to be able to pay somebody else to figure it out.
When Bailey and I were pretty early into our time at Northeastern, there were a ton of opportunities to get engaged in entrepreneurship as an entrepreneur. There were a ton of opportunities to get engaged in product development and product building as an engineer. And we didn't find that there was a place that overlapped those two spots just yet. And so our personal ambition was we want to be entrepreneurial engineers. And so we said, well, what would we want to do? And that's kind of how we started it. And granted, we went through and tried to do some research as to what other people wanted and what would be a value add to the entrepreneurship community, what would be a value add to the engineering community. The Sherman Center as a center was this incredible culmination of all those things. And so to really just take that and say, well, we want a place for entrepreneurial engineers to grow in both of those skill sets. And that was really the core and of where our idea around Generate came from. Talked to probably 20 to 30 engineering students. We talked to at least 5 to 10 ventures, as well as other people in the venture community at Northeastern. And we took all that research and we said, okay, we really think that there's an opportunity to match these two communities. And the way that we can do it, we took inspiration from organizations like Scout. We said we can do semester-long client projects in which we deliver real products for real companies.
Let's gather up all of the relevant people within Northeastern administration, faculty, staff, etc., and try to say, convey the importance of this, understand why has this not happened before, how can we be different, what is the, what are you looking for sort of to really assure you that this could happen. And on top of that, it was convincing the other students and the other people who would be on the team that this was, in some ways, that this was worth their time. And then further than that, maybe this was more than just a club.
Frankly, I've been really, really impressed by the growth of its community, about its desire to be a more inclusive and supportive community, and you know, as well as a partner to the larger Sherman Center. Generate has also grown to be a real steward of the Sherman Center space.
And so it went from, hey, let's try this, like let's pilot this with a small build studio, to what it is today. And you know, having basically no space to having to like taking over a little bit of the electrical engineering co-op capstone space, sorry, to having an actual Sherman Center, which with Ted having a desk and Shashi now, Andrew having an office.
I am involved in a lot of activities, but Generate, out of all of the activities I oversee, has the most direct connection to the executive's director vision. And from that, I've seen it move from various, I guess, specific missions of each director. When you're dealing with students involved in entrepreneurship, that leads to a certain image. That leads to a certain image of, we need to do this now, we need to disrupt, we need to move quickly, we need to do this and damn the torpedoes. But if you go to Generate, you don't see any of that as your first thing. You see a highly inclusive community of students who really just want to do a good job with whatever project they're given.
Where it is now at 5 years, the impact it's having on the lives of the ventures that it supports, sure, but the members, the engineers, designers, business students, folks of all different backgrounds, how it has supported them, how it has supported their feeling of community at Northeastern, is just astonishing. And I'm so glad that that's, the way in which we have grown.
Considering the difficulty in Northeastern of trying to have a program like this that's not a student club, has all these extra rules, works inside this web of Mosaic and everything else, and have it be thriving through a pandemic, through changes of adding in software projects as well as hardware, through increases to space, changes to budget, changes to staff with people like Noah and Ted and Andrew coming in for Shashi because he went on sabbatical. It's a testament to the strength of the organization that it survived those things, much less became still thriving.
I mean, I think that the organization has evolved in a very, very healthy way, and it needs to do that. It needs to keep evolving as you gain more knowledge in terms of what works best in an organization, but then also as the environment around you changes.
I hope that I started to bring a little bit of the software flair into a otherwise very mechanically focused and electrical engineering focused team. And I think software is like a part of everything. And even when it comes to projects that are like really mechanical, like I remember one of the projects our year was about, like the year that I was executive director, had something to do with like freezing water really quickly. It was like a very chemical engineering project, but they had, a PCB and firmware and all this stuff. And there were things that software engineers could give to every team. So I think for me, it was, showing how it doesn't have to be just like a software project. It can be like a mechanical engineering project or an electrical engineering project, and kind of have this really cross-functional team.
I think for me, one of the things I, at the very least, take pride in terms of my role as executive director is not just is actually past my time as an executive director, and more so in sticking around and being a support to the community. This community has impacted me personally a lot, and so I always want to be there to support the next generation.
I think I was so focused on the next thing in Generate, and it was my senior year, and senior year of college is a really stressful time as it is. And I had, was looking at getting a job, and I was trying to finish my capstone project, and I was trying to make sure all the teams were like successful in the day to day, and okay, make sure that this thing gets done, and I make it to this meeting on time, and I talk to the alumni and blah, blah, blah. And if I could go back, I think I would take more minutes to just stop and really enjoy it.
You don't have to know everything. You won't know everything, executive director. And you don't have to. I think running this organization, sometimes you feel like you're at the top and you need to know exactly what's going on at all times and know exactly what should be doing and what should be doing next. And you're afraid to make missteps. And I think just the knowledge that that's okay. We're all learning. The whole point of Generate as an organization is for everyone to learn and grow. And the executive director is in the same position.
The most important thing is you're not, doing it all by yourself. The whole point is to, build a team and to work with them, and they will be a huge help to you if you let them. So you don't have to feel like it's all on you all the time.
I remember personally, one of my favorite Generate memories is right around the same week when I found out I was going to be the next executive director, was also when what we used to call the swamp opened up. And it was an area, another kind of workspace for Generate that we had in another room. And I remember Maddie taking me there one day and being like, I have something really exciting to show you. And taking me into this room and being like, this is our new space and we're getting this new space. And I was so excited to kind of have this expansion, and then just the possibilities that a physical expansion opened up, even kind of metaphorically, for what we could do was really great. And then as I was executive director, I was able to work really closely as we designed what then became the even larger Generate space.
When I was a project lead, we had a day where we got into the Sherman Center on a Saturday pretty early, and we ordered snacks and pizza and stuff throughout the day, and we worked for like 8 to 12 hours or something like that on our project, just to like, you know, really get a session done of like cleaning up the things we wanted to clean up. There's lots of whiteboarding. Nick was on my team at the time. It was fun. Same with Nikhil, who's a project lead this semester.
Let's say we had an info session to sort of gauge interest, to bring in students who were kind of recommended to us or well respected within the engineering community, and to say, hey, we're starting this new thing, and you know, we've heard you are somebody who is kind of a leader within the engineering community and somebody who might be able to help out. So we brought in a bunch of people to this meeting. We had this probably goofy slide deck prepared, and we walked through this, kind of explained what we thought Generate was going to be. Of course, a lot of those things did not come true, I'm sure, but we had dreams, we had hopes. And we walked through this whole conversation. And it was like, for me, that was when Generate started.
Something none of us could have predicted was celebrating 5 years of Generate projects in the midst of a pandemic. You've already heard from me about how proud I am of how we were able to transition so effectively to an online environment. But enough of me talking. Let's hear from some of our community about their experiences and how Generate was able to operate effectively online.
Because we've made it virtual, I feel like our critiques are more so centered around having the ability to share screens and being able to leave comments and annotate as we're talking about the design critique.
When I joined Generate, a big part of that for me was the space and seeing everybody kind of like together in the Sherman Center. And I think that in a virtual environment, it's gotten more difficult, but in general, we've been able to kind of like keep that camaraderie and that line of communication open.
I think definitely there is some sort of community aspect in Generate that helps it function efficiently in a virtual environment. And even though we're not all in person, doing our projects in person and stuff like that, there is still that effective communication, and it is still a great community to be in.
The Generate community is so tight and it's so close knit, and there's so much constant communication happening that even though I came on in this very unusual way, and obviously I haven't met the vast majority of people in Generate, I still think that this has been super rewarding experience, and I am very, very glad that I took this opportunity. I have been pretty adamant about setting up a lot of just virtual one-on-ones, getting to know people that way. I participated in Retreat, which was obviously half virtual, and then I made sure to participate in the in-person aspect of Retreat, which was great, which was one of the few times I actually got to meet people.
Going to retreats, that's always been a lot of fun. Even virtually, like this semester was so much fun. That's been a great way to interact with people. Just like interacting on Slack itself and just like writing fun stuff in like our channels honestly has been a good time. So I don't think like I really missed too much.
I had the most engagement this retreat with like everyone. I did the scavenger hunt, which was super fun. We came second in that, and then there was a lot of fun events that were lined up at retreat virtually.
In the past, a lot of the elements were in the space itself. You know, the whiteboard walls, the community interaction with just people who were hanging around and doing work in the Sherman Center. Now it's a lot more different, and I think there have been a lot of ways we've tried to like augment that and make that a thing. But polls, you know, in the Sherman Center Slack and the Hot Takes channel, starting new channels like Terrible Ideas or chats or stuff like that to further connect people together in that virtual climate.
I was up for the challenge, honestly, of joining a new club and in the role that was so focused on the people of the club and engagement of people in the club.
I guess I just didn't really mind it being a virtual experience because I've just kind of come to terms with the fact that things are just mostly virtual now, and I can't really just like let that hold me back from joining new things.
Even though it is completely virtual, I just came off a co-op where I was 6 months virtual and I still had a fantastic time. So all the myths about how, if you're working in a completely virtual environment, that's going to really take away from sort of the fun of it. While there's a little bit of truth to that, I do think that, especially coming off that co-op, I knew it wasn't a deal breaker.
Last semester was the first time I ever interviewed a person and tried to filter clients and try to interview and figure out if their project ideas were sound and if they had done enough research. I've always been on the other end of the interview trying to please someone or try to get the job, but I've never been the interviewer.
Favorite part of Generate so far was being able to plan retreat this semester. So it was my first time being able to plan a really big event like that, I guess, since it was the whole day. And it just made me really happy to see all of the Generate community coming together.
Before joining Generate, I had no idea what a product development studio did, and being in Generate, I feel like there is that level of professionalism and creativity that is unique among organizations, and being in the virtual environment, that is something that you can still see and understand, and I just really enjoy being in Generate.
On a regular basis, I hold workshops, and these workshops are on our various tools and equipment, like our 3D printers, our CNC machine, our soldering station, our power tools, all that good stuff. And I've converted most of my workshops into a virtual format. So students are able to attend Zoom meetings and ask me questions. We go through the curricula, and make sure that they're comfortable with using the tools whenever they're able to book time in the actual space.
So with my team of 3, we came up with a few forms here and there to kind of ask people within Generate what they wanted in terms of events and just in terms of Slack channels, just ways to get people to, feel connected in this weird world that we've been living in for the past year. So yeah, and then we had a few community building events and just an alumni panel where I think that was very helpful for a lot of people to get a lot out of it and connect with people who used to be in Generate as well.
I've just been planning the 3 main events that Generate has, so retreat, all hands, and showcase. So I've just been thinking of ways to get people talking during those events and not really just having people stare at a Zoom screen for the whole day, and just finding ways to have people talk. So having simple things like breakout rooms or the speed dating Glimpse app or anything like that, really.
Yeah, so as showcase coordinator, I started the semester spending the first 2 months planning on, an event in person and looking for a venue and looking at catering options for an event that was gonna host about 200 people. So when school closed down and everything happened, we had to completely pivot the whole strategy again. And I think something that really helped was the fact that everyone was very available and understanding. We were all in the same situation, and everyone was very willing to help out each other. So basically how we pivoted the strategy when we went virtual was we decided to just do the event virtually, obviously, but on to basically record a video and then have a live event on YouTube. The biggest thing is that how resilient Generate is. I think it's just across the board too. I think we've all just kind of been dealt this weird situation, and the fact that Generate was able to keep it up during this time and be a really positive place for all of us, while we're going through this crazy thing. I think something that really came up a lot was how great the Generate community is. you wouldn't expect like every organization on campus to be as proactive and engaged as Generate was at the time, and I'm sure like it still is. But yeah, so definitely like their main strength is, as much as like everyone is so talented and passionate about their project, but really like the fact that they're all like very friendly and it's a very welcoming environment. I think that's something that I really like wish to see Jenner like keep doing as moving forward.
Did a really good job with our Notion page, making that one-stop shop, because that didn't exist before COVID. But now it's just a handy resource for Generate or for any Sherman Center student to figure out how to book time and space, which maybe might not need as much when we get back in person, but where all of our rules live, where all of our documents live, that's very handy. I think we should definitely keep that.
Accessibility is something that's really important to me, and this is especially applicable in general, like in the grand scheme of things. I feel like COVID has really showed us that virtual events are way easier to make things accessible for everybody. I think in the future it would just be important for the sake of accessibility to make sure that our events are both in person and maybe have an option for an online, just so that everybody feels like they can be a part of Generate.
Once again, I'd like to thank everyone who helped Generate adapt during the pandemic. We weren't able to highlight everyone, but know that your work was valued just the same. This semester, we welcomed our largest community yet, a total of 95 members. I have been so fortunate to have had the opportunity to lead such a passionate community. And we've done a lot this semester. And I want to take a moment to highlight a few key things that we've accomplished. First, ever since I became executive director, I wanted to enable future executive directors to take on this position as a paid co-op. I'm happy to say that with close collaboration with the Sherman Center, we secured initial funding to enable the next set of executive directors to do just that. On the Build Studio side, we saw software expand from 2 teams to 4 teams. And for the very first time, we have 1 team working on an in-house website for Generate. On the hardware side, we saw our very first continuous client. Powerhouse returned to us this spring, and the Build Studio was able to build off of the work that we did in the fall to continue to build Powerhouse, an amazing product. I am very excited with the impact that the community team has had on Generate so far. We were able to branch out into COVID-safe events this semester, and we've seen an overall increase in engagement from everyone in the community, both new and old. Now I'm going to pass it off to some other members of the community to talk a little bit more in detail about what we've accomplished this semester.
Hi everyone, my name is Emily McMichael, and I've had the privilege of being the Outreach Director here at Generate for the last year. Outreach has had another incredible semester this spring. Over the past few months, we've continued in our efforts to develop and promote Generate's brand, grow our digital presence, and expand our recruitment pool for both members and clients. Outreach underwent some changes in order to make this all happen. Based off of some of our learnings from last semester, we decided to reunite the client and member recruiters onto one external relations team. And we also made sure that the branding team had a clear timeline for all of their projects from the very start of the semester in order to make sure that their projects were done in a timely manner. We also placed an even greater emphasis on the very video that you're watching right now. We collaborated very early on with other members of the management team to develop a plan for what we wanted Showcase to look like, and have spent the semester directing, producing, and editing it in order to make sure that the final product was more cohesive than it had been in the past. We're definitely still ironing out the kinks of the brand new external relations team, and we're also still working to adapt to this virtual environment, not only with Generate but with classes as well. This has definitely been a challenge, but I'm endlessly proud of the Outreach team's ability to adapt and overcome, and how we've supported each other through such a challenging time. I'm very grateful to have been the Outreach Director, for the connections that I have made, and for all of the hard work and dedication of my teams. I now want to hand it over to the leads of my sub-teams, branding, content, and external relations, to give them the opportunity to go into more detail about the work that they did and all they've accomplished this semester.
This semester, the branding team worked to create graphics to promote Generate both externally and internally while focusing on 2 main goals. Our first goal was to continue expanding Generate's brand, and our second goal was to work more closely with the Build Studio.
Our top projects this semester included apparel such as our semesterly t-shirt and a Patagonia with the special 5 years of Generate logo, the system for tonight's showcase, redoing our newsletter and the Build Studio scope doc, and other smaller projects. Despite being remote for the second semester in a row, our team has continued to breathe new life into Generate's brand while working with other outreach teams to continue promoting Generate. Overall, I'm so excited to share what the branding team has been working on so far this semester, and I especially like to highlight the new scope doc which we've been working on in collaboration with the Build Studio and will be debuting next semester.
This semester, the content team worked towards building engagement with Generate's audience while working towards two main goals. One of our main goals was to post consistently on social media in order to get more students to recognize Generate's community. Another goal that was important to us was working with the Build Studio teams and doing more project spotlights. As a professional organization, we wanted to bring attention to the incredible work that our engineers were doing, and posting on platforms such as LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram was a great way to showcase that. Apart from creating a consistent social media calendar, we also worked towards creating a bi-monthly newsletter that would highlight events, projects, announcements, and any other information we as an organization wanted to share with members, alumni, and other people of the community. All in all, despite being remote, we were able to work closely alongside other outreach teams as well as other Generate teams to contribute to the organization in any way we could.
This is the first semester of the External Relations team, a part of Generate, and it is awesome to see the work it has already accomplished. The External Relations team is made up of a member outreach specialist, hardware client specialist, and software client specialist. Throughout the semester, we have partnered with a bunch of organizations at Northeastern, including many Mosaic organizations such as the Entrepreneurship Club, IDEA, WISE, and more, to pitch all the things Generate can help potential clients with, and also the opportunities to get involved in Generate as a student. On top of those efforts, the External Relations team has also worked to assemble a list of prospective clients to help the next management team with recruitment. This list includes the startup founders' names, contact information, and the name of the prospective startup. We have also worked to refine an interest form to help track client interest throughout the semester. On top of that, we have further refined our interviewing and filtering process used in the fall to help the upcoming management team filter and refine the startups they take on. We are excited to see what ventures join Generate in the future, and hopefully our resources can be a great use for the next External Relations team moving forward.
Hi guys, I'm Abe McCarthy, and I had the privilege of being the Operations Director this spring. The Operations team consisted of two sub-teams, the Build Studio Support Team and the Core Operations team led by Ryan and Andrew respectively. The Build Studio Support Team was primarily focused on supporting the Build Studio through actions like makerspace upkeep and the handling of purchases. Ryan's team made great improvements to our virtual makerspace training. They also created an inventory system to help track all of our tools and equipment available to our engineers. The Cooperations team was focused on improving the day-to-day challenges faced across Generate. Some of their key initiatives include an overhaul of our Google Drive organization, a client feedback survey, and the creation of a database of all current and previous Generate members. I am so proud of all of the operations team and all their hard work throughout this entire semester. It has been my privilege to have worked with such talented individuals. Ryan and Andrew, I wish you both success, and I know that you two will continue to do great things. Now I'm going to hand it over to my leads, Ryan and Andrew, to tell you more about their teams.
My name is Andrew Cataldo, and I was the Core Operations lead for this past semester. The Core Operations team consisted of myself and 4 members, data analyst, data acquisition specialist, an office manager, and our technical writer. The primary focus of this semester was more general organizational improvement, We each took on semester-long projects aimed at making life a little bit easier for Generate members now and in semesters to come. Some of our highlights included the mid and end of semester member surveys, in which Reza and Jordan worked together to generate invaluable insight from our members. Another highlight of our semester was a brand new client survey, in which Jordan worked to collect client feedback that will be put towards improving and understanding the client experience moving forward. Ben was very hard at work with a complete overhaul of the organization of our Google Drive. His aim was to sort documentation based on its purpose, not on the team that's using it. And this would ultimately make the work of all teams more visible and prevent teams from only being exposed to their own folder, which would eliminate silos in the process. And finally, Amanda and I worked on the Member History Project, a semester-long effort to track the positions and teams of every member to be involved with Generate from its inception. This project will be updated each semester and will serve as a resource for all members moving forward. I am incredibly thankful to Eamon for his leadership this semester, to Ryan for being a very steady presence on the other side of the ops team, and of course to Reza, Jordan, Amanda, and Ben for their unbelievable performance in their roles, as well as for making my life very, very easy this semester. Thank you to everybody else for a great semester, and I hope to see you all next year.
Hi everyone, I'm Ryan, and I had the pleasure of being Generate's Build Studio Support Lead this semester. Over the spring, our team's goals and projects mainly focused on ensuring the Build Studio and its related teams were functioning as efficiently as possible. Our purchasing and financial analyst, Xuan, was in charge of ordering for the entirety of Generate this semester and did an excellent job at managing and tracking any order placed through the semester. As well as managing and tracking orders for Generate, Xuan was also able to set up tax-exempt accounts with multiple new businesses, further expanding the list of approved vendors for future teams to purchase from. As our resource coordinator, Aaliyah focused on optimizing and improving the virtual makerspace trainings to ensure that our project teams could learn how to use the various tools in our makerspace as efficiently as possible. As well, given the current COVID pandemic, safety within the makerspace posed as important a goal as ever. Aaliyah also completed weekly makerspace upkeep and sanitization to ensure proper safety was maintained for anyone working within the Build Studio this semester. Finally, as our process engineer, Kayla was tasked with evaluating and improving any existing processes within the Build Studio, as well as adding new processes to improve the overall experience of working within the Build Studio. Within the Build Studio, the most notable improvement Kayla made was the completion of a centralized inventory system detailing any parts, tools, or machinery available for use by our project teams. This semester, Kayla also expanded her role to look at processes outside of the Build Studio. As a result, she's taken a look at our current application process, gathered feedback, and made many changes to improve the system for both applicants and interviewers in the near future. I'm so impressed with the quality of work my team has done this semester and truly look forward to seeing what they do in the future.
Hi everyone, I'm Aya Aragon and I'm the Community Director. This semester, the community team was created and it is a newer iteration of the Old People Experience teams. We are focused on maintaining a sense of community within our org. The greatest challenge we faced this year was how to create that sense of community in a virtual setting, all while combating Zoom fatigue. For us, we tried to place an emphasis on COVID-safe in-person meetups, casual hangouts, and we encouraged people to make friends outside of their team. We had 4 members on this team, not including myself. Our engagement specialist focused on putting together fun events like trivia nights, watch parties, and pop-up events outside when the weather is nice. Our internal events coordinator focused on putting together the big events of the semester: retreat, all hands, and showcase. Our member relations coordinator made sure that everyone felt welcome by talking to members one-on-one. Last but not least, our diversity, equity, and inclusion specialist handled initiatives regarding hiring trainings and held our open forums. We had some other cool initiatives too this semester. For example, on the Build Studio side, we implemented design reviews for hardware and open user testing for software. These were open meetings where people outside the project teams could give their input and test software projects. We wanted members, especially those outside the Build Studio, to be able to check out the Build Studio's work throughout the semester. We've begun interviewing alumni to get first-person content about how Generate has impacted their careers. This content will be used for promotional materials and to help current members learn about the history of Generate. And we've also started to compile resources and materials on social justice issues, especially those that impact our members and the engineering entrepreneurship space as a whole. You can find all of these as link trees on all of our social medias. All of our events this semester went really well too, thanks to some outside-the-box thinking. During retreat, we tried to combat Zoom fatigue by giving people something real and tactile. So, the community team packed and distributed care packages to everyone who signed up, which was about 2/3 of our 95-person org. We even set up an in-person activity, which were on-campus scavenger hunts. And during all hands, we tried to make the event just like how it would work in person, complete with tabling and socializing spaces. I am so proud of my team, and I really don't think Generate would have been the same without them. They really rose up to the occasion of making us all feel connected, despite COVID keeping us all apart. I could not have wished for a better team, and I'm so excited to see what the next community team does in the fall.
Hi, I'm Elena, the software director. This semester, the Software Build Studio has had a lot of really exciting changes, including expanding from 2 project teams last semester to 3 this semester, and adding our website team. Our website team has been working on completely redesigning the Generate website and implementing it ourselves so we have way more flexibility. Our project teams have been tackling really exciting and challenging technical problems that we've never really explored before, including things like Bluetooth and integrating with a bunch of AWS services. And without further ado, I'm going to let them show you all that they've accomplished this semester.
Hi everyone, my name is Nikhil, and this semester I was a project lead for burn cam. Burn injuries need an expert, but burns are rare. Not every doctor's office has an expert burn physician. BurnCam is an augmented telemedicine platform that allows patients and providers to access expert burn care at any time. Started by 2 Northeastern alumni, the company came to Generate with a working MVP they are testing and getting feedback on from hospitals, doctors, and medical professionals. This project was a really exciting opportunity for our team. We took the existing MVP, written in plain HTML and JavaScript, and redesigned the UI, reworked the backend, and transitioned to a cross-platform app that runs on mobile and web simultaneously. Working with an existing codebase brought unique challenges regarding ramping up in the first couple of weeks. This was a great learning opportunity for our 6 engineers and allowed us to build a project with a lot of technical complexity. On the backend, we leveraged a ton of different AWS services. We used the API gateway to route incoming requests, AWS Lambdas to run our code on serverless infrastructure, Cognito for authentication, and DynamoDB and S3 to store data. On the front end, we use Expo, a React Native-based web platform that allowed us to deploy on both the web and mobile. While redesigning the front end, we went through several iterations of each of our screens. We were able to get feedback from real medical professionals on the functionality and usability of the website and the app. Being able to communicate with actual users of the product went a long way towards refining our designs. Overall, I'm really proud of the work that we have done this semester. Despite the inherent challenges of working remotely, we were able to deliver a product that exceeded both ours and our clients' expectations. Thank you.
Clip is a personal safety device and connected mobile app experience for female runners to feel safe and supported. Over the past 3 months, my team designed Clip's app and developed the front end and back end for its MVP. Our mobile app is built with React Native. When the user first opens the app, they can sign up or log in. Triggered by a Bluetooth signal, the app can send text alerts with the user's location to a user's stored contacts using Twilio SMS. To help prevent any accidents, the user can stop those alerts from sending within a time limit. The app also has a community section where users can anonymously view and create posts. Our app connects to our backend, which was built using Django with MySQL. All designs were user-tested and completed with brand colors, typeface, and logo. A highlight of our project was working with new technologies such as Bluetooth and Twilio SMS. We didn't know how to approach creating the mock Bluetooth service at all, and we expected Twilio SMS to take us more than 1 week to research and implement. However, the team just took on and tackled these challenges. I was very impressed with my engineers' abilities to learn quickly and apply what they learned towards code. Another highlight was the client letting us design everything from scratch, which gave us creative freedom. My designers proactively led an end-to-end design process, from competitor benchmarking before lo-fis to setting up their own meetings with the client's brand designer to complete hi-fis. They even challenged the client when their visions of the clip logo didn't match. We each brought a unique set of skills and backgrounds to the team, and through this project, we each learned something. Whether it was a hard skill like building a database or a soft skill like better communication. Besides the aforementioned design and development challenges, a major challenge the team faced was just working remotely. Working remotely is difficult, especially when we're all students who didn't know each other before joining. And now we're just volunteering our time towards this project. It's taken us a while to get to know each other better and figure out each other's working style. We also all dislike meetings, so we kept those to a minimum, and as a result, only saw all 10 of us together once a week. However, during those times, every sprint we would have a retrospective activity to identify where and how we could improve our processes. We learned ways to work asynchronously, such as Monday stand-ups and sub-team working sessions. More importantly, we explored ways to bond as a team, such as a shout-out sport during our sprint retro and regular happy hours. While I wish we could have met up a few times in person throughout the semester, we ultimately did very well as a remote team because, well, we achieved a lot over the semester. We met our priority goals as well as some of our reach goals, and will soon be delivering a functional MVP that our client can bring to investors, as well as brand design and additional UI designs. We're proud of our work and can't wait to see where Clip goes.
Hi, my name is Alejandra and I'm the project lead for Persist Energy. We began the semester with a very daunting task. Our client, Persist Energy, is a very exciting startup looking to revolutionize the way small business owners transport their goods. They proposed an electric moped that gave customers the form factor of a slick bike coupled with a bike that would be durable and rugged enough to navigate through the streets of India. Our team was in charge of developing their first Android mobile application that would educate users on how to use their bike, display information from the bike like battery health statistics and their past Persist Energy trips, and help provide navigation information for users to track down charging stations for the rechargeable batteries on board. A couple months went by and we now have a very comprehensive design for users to log in, access a dynamic dashboard that is pulling data from the bike in real time and rendering important data back to users, screens to process transactions, a Google Maps API that helps navigate users to charging stations, customized profile pages, and a whole new brand design for the Persist Energy team. The application was developed with a React Native frontend, Node.js backend, and a DynamoDB database to store important customer information like their bike ID and battery status. Along the way, we faced important challenges and very fun highlights. Our team had to face many new technical challenges like working with a Razorpay API to process customer transactions and figuring out how to render dynamic images in the front end that look almost identical to the wireframes provided by designers. A few highlights were getting to see the designers iteratively build on their initial ideas and come up with some very creative concepts and illustrations for a project that began with the simple idea of having users have a comprehensive way of understanding their bike. In general, getting to work with brilliant engineers that had insanely busy workloads and still managed to set aside time every week to create something entirely from scratch was such a privilege. Every single person has grown in their role and contributed to a very essential part of our project. I'm very proud of the work this team has produced, and we're looking forward to being a valuable piece in the timeline of Persist Energy's developing history.
Hi everyone, I'm Haley, and this semester I was the website lead for the new Generate website. The Generate website has gotten very old and is hard to update. It has become very outdated. On our small team of 3, Olivia Johnson worked as our designer and Egla worked as our engineer to make an entirely new website. We have learned a lot and come a long way. Olivia has created multiple iterations of our 5 main pages that a website team will continue to add to in the coming semesters as we get more content. She worked closely with other designers and did an amazing job to create a new and sleek layout. We've created room for much more content and worked closely with the management team. We created the website using React and hosting it on GitHub pages. We created a JSON file that is easily changeable so that the management team with limited technical knowledge can easily update it with new content in the future. Egla is a new web developer who learned React, Git, and how to build a website. Overall, this semester we were able to create the home, client, and member page to better organize all of Generate's content. Our small team was able to do a lot of work, and I am proud of how far we have come. In the future, a new team will come implement more pages. We want to create a website that will allow people outside of our organization to see all of the amazing things that everyone here is doing and help get more people involved.
I want to give a huge shout out to Kat. The Software Build Studio has been so lucky to have Kat as our chief designer over the past year. She has not only had a huge impact in making each project's designs beautiful, but also has been an amazing role model and mentor to all of our designers. Thanks, Kat, for all that you have done for us in the Software Build Studio.
Hi, I'm Colin Passo, the hardware director for this year. I'm super proud to introduce you to our 4 project teams for this semester: Powerhouse, Push Beauty, Clip, and Crate. Each project had its own complex set of challenges, and yet each found their own innovative and creative solutions. I want to give a big thanks to every Build Studio member this year for all the hard work they put in. In addition, I want to thank the Sherman Center and Operations for their continued support of hardware projects. And finally, a special thanks to the first ever hardware designers. You brought a new and important perspective onto our teams, and I cannot thank you enough. Without further ado, I would like to turn it over to my project lead so they can tell you more about their projects.
This semester, the Crate team was tasked with creating a works-like prototype of a sustainable cardboard box alternative. The team needed to create a folding system that could reduce the volume of the box, design a digital lock for security, and add electrical features like GPS tracking and a packing label display. At the start, the project was daunting with so many moving parts on the electrical and mechanical sides, it was hard to see how we could finish. But after taking time to break everything down into subgroups, we quickly learned to chip away at the design. The team started out by brainstorming and prototyping locking and folding mechanisms using cardboard and 3D printing. The folding team constructed 2 wooden prototypes and used them to learn about hinge design and the folding process. The locking team designed and 3D printed the first iteration lock and similarly learned from seeing it in 3D space. Each time the team stepped back to review the design internally or with chief engineers, they pushed to improve the product to make it better than the competition. Through design reviews and development, the team decided on a final design which features a scissor folding mechanism. This mechanism provides a superior user experience to competitors because of its automatic-like folding. After thorough research, the team decided on expanded polypropylene foam as the material of choice. For the locking mechanism, a solenoid was selected for the final design. On the electrical side, we designed a MOSFET circuit to control the solenoid, programmed an e-ink display to show packing labels, and added an RFID reader for unlocking. One of the biggest challenges this semester came with the expanded polypropylene material choice. First off, sourcing the foam was much more difficult than we realized since it's used in so few applications. Secondly, finding ways to fabricate the dense foam was very difficult. The team tried all sorts of methods and ended up settling on CNC routing the panels. The team has developed many new skills this semester, from debugging electrical systems to learning new softwares like Fusion 360 CAM. On the design side, we learned about tolerance stacking with dynamic mechanical models and how important the user experience with folding is. The team is on track to meet all expected deliverables, which includes a fully integrated final prototype and advice on how to move forward with a second generation design. The team did an amazing job putting all this together throughout this semester.
The Clip hardware team spent the semester working on developing a runner's safety device. Clip aims to keep female runners safe by quickly and discreetly notifying authorities or a designated contact in the case of an emergency. When pressed, a message is sent through the user's phone and there's a tactile response on the clip itself to assure them of a successful transfer. This semester, we had the opportunity to work closely with the software team to build out that on-phone functionality. Blending software and hardware elements in one product has proven to be a fun and engaging challenge. Working on an electrical mechanical project like this has brought with it a suite of interesting problems to tackle as well. We started the semester breaking down the core functionality of the product to gain a better understanding of what features we would be developing, and also to get a better understanding of where the teams, software, electrical, and mechanical, would overlap. From that, we determined that the device needs to be small, such that it could be worn and activated discreetly, light, so it could be worn for an entire run, and long-lasting, so that battery life would never be a concern when using the product. Given these goals, the team set about mocking up some designs and making lo-fi prototypes in the makerspace. It's really cool to see our concepts come together in real life, and from those lo-fi prototypes, we were able to gain some really valuable insights into features to either evolve or drop in future iterations. Through physical prototyping, we were also able to gain some really valuable information on developing the electrical systems. We started by making a breadboard prototype to test the individual functionality of each module that would be used in our final design. From there, we were able to create a schematic that connected all the discrete elements into one cohesive device. Once we had a complete picture of the elements needed to achieve the intended functionality, we shifted gears into designing a custom PCB that would sit in the device itself. This phase was one of the major overlaps between the mechanical and electrical teams, and working out these problems together as a team were both challenging and rewarding. In addition to finding engineering goals, we spent a lot of time investigating the user experience of the device. In any product, it is really important to understand how the end user experiences it, but especially so with Clip, since it's critical that runners can discreetly activate the device. Throughout the semester, we worked on honing the form by sending out user surveys, iterating upon our physical prototypes, and even having people run with the device and provide us with feedback. It was really cool to see how the device changed and grew with each iteration. Working on such a multidisciplinary project was such a great experience. It was really interesting to learn how to balance both software and hardware needs in one project, as well as balancing the challenges associated with electrical, mechanical, and design aspects of this project. I'm super proud of what we've been able to accomplish and can't wait to see what lies in store for Clip and the Build Studio engineers that worked on it.
At the beginning of the semester for Push Beauty, the team was tasked with creating makeup product prototypes that focused on bringing inclusivity into the beauty industry. To us and our client, this looked like a line of products that could be used with one hand and cut out the twisting mechanism often found in makeup applicators that limit those with disabilities to use makeup. To achieve this, we planned to build a chubby stick-like applicator and a jar component that would be easy to use with one hand, along with a user-focused design that gave the product a sleek, high-quality feel. This wasn't our only goal though, as we all individually had our own areas of interest we wanted to explore, from a better understanding of the product development cycle, user-centered design, hand sketching, sustainability, and project scoping/project management. Early on, we struggled with understanding the vision of our client and how we could achieve it under the constraints we faced as a Generate team. We struggled with answering questions like, what exactly does one-handed mean for our prototypes, and how would we tackle the overarching theme of having these products be inclusive of those with disabilities, considering a lack of actual target audience input. The use of journey maps and design reviews played a key role in the team tackling these hurdles and continuing to iterate on our designs. This semester brought a lot of great moments for the team. Seeing some of our first prints was very cool, as it gave us a 3D look at the brainstorming ideas we had been discussing for the beginning of the project. The team has also begun to safely meet in person for meetings, which has allowed us to get to know each other better and have a more enjoyable connection than only seeing each other on Zoom each week. Over the course of the semester, we were able to create finalized designs for both the jar and the chubby stick. Contrary to strong opinions about magnets, the team was able to successfully integrate magnets into the closing of the jar, along with a sleek hexagonal shape to give it a high-quality feel. With the chubby stick, the team tackled the one-handed parameter with ease, as we created a stick that allows users to not only apply the makeup easily, but also we integrated a sustainability feature that allows the user to refill the product in the chubby stick without needing to replace the entire component every time product runs out. We were also lucky to be able to have a designer work on the team that throughout the project looked into the user interface with different makeup products, what users are looking for in a product like this, and build journey maps that allowed the team to integrate these ideas into our finalized designs. This made our prototypes more user-friendly and coherent, as our client can now build on these designs and continue to create a wide range of products. Some key learnings for the team included familiarization with Fusion 360 and 3D printing, alongside a better understanding of prototyping, iterations, and product development. This project gave members a great hands-on introduction to the world of product development and experience in rapid iterations. I believe this semester also allowed a lot of us to better learn how to juggle Generate responsibilities along with life and academic obligations while staying positive during the pandemic. I am incredibly proud of the work this team has done and have had the best time being a project lead for Push Beauty. The purpose of Push Beauty was to make people feel cared for in the beauty industry, and we feel grateful to have been part of a wonderful cause.
Powerhouse is a returning client from last semester, and they're hoping to develop a fully retractable solar array that can fit inside a shed. The device will be deployed remotely through an app and provide valuable information to the user. Our team this semester was tasked with improving the prototype by redesigning the driving mechanism, developing the suspension, and finally integrating a backup battery. Our goal was to make the device simple yet robust. Our group split up into 3 sub-teams to handle each key deliverable. The task seemed overwhelming at first because of the sheer complexity of the system, but we were able to break down the problems and began by doing a deep dive into the main subcomponents of the prototype. We spent the first couple of weeks gathering information from the previous Generate team and learning the ins and outs of the device. We identified the main constraints for each subsystem and determined that the driving mechanism needed to be compact and needed to use a mechanical advantage to reduce the load on the motor. The suspension had to be responsive at extremely low speeds and be able to safely withstand up to 1,000 pounds of weight. The backup battery needed to have enough energy to power 3 retractions in case of a power outage, and the solar panels also had to operate properly even with some degree of partial shading. Since our project had very strict design constraints, the mechanical team researched and prototyped multiple different designs using cardboard, Legos, and off-the-shelf components. We looked for design inspirations in other products spanning many industries, from a suspension on the Mars rover to a retraction mechanism on the Wimbledon Stadium roof. The electrical team had to optimize the power management system to minimize the weight of components on the panels while still allowing them to operate at their maximum efficiency. We looked into different existing systems that would best fit our needs and created a proof-of-concept prototype at a smaller scale to understand the system better. After doing extensive research and prototype testing, we settled on the final design of each subsystem. For the drivetrain, modifying the Wimbledon Stadium design, we moved the scissor mechanism to the bottom of the device and added a track along the width of the frame to drive each panel separately with AC motors. For the suspension, we combined 2 spring shocks, which are commonly seen in bikes or ATVs, into a single system, and that allowed each wheel to move independently and minimized stresses in the frame even at low speeds. For the electrical system, we added a DC optimizer on the panels to make sure partial shading of individual panels will not cause a bottleneck in the power output. We also minimized the number of AC-DC conversions along every path to reduce the power losses. Our main challenge this semester was constantly having to change designs based on new knowledge and dealing with downstream effects of those changes that affect other subsystems. The team had to make a complete design change of the drivetrain mid-semester after finding critical issues with the previous mechanism, and this required subsequent changes to the electrical system as well. Another challenge was working within such tight constraints and balancing trade-offs between designs. We learned a ton about drivetrain mechanisms, various types of suspensions, and solar power in general. It's been a great learning opportunity for all of us, and we gained a lot of experience doing early stage development for heavy machinery using solar power. This was by far the most technically challenging project I have seen in Generate, and I'm extremely proud of the team for accomplishing so much over the course of a semester.
I'd like to take the time to shout out the Chief Engineering team. They have supported the hardware projects and the Hardware Build Studio members throughout this semester and have set the groundwork to continue to educate all members in Generate about hardware problems and our product development process for many years to come. Much of their work is in the background, but it is absolutely vital to the success of Generate. Thank you Pratt, Max, Harrison, Elliot, and Jacob for all the work that you did this semester.
Now that you've seen all the incredible work that we've done this past semester, I'd like to take a moment to celebrate our graduating members. We wish you the best in your future endeavors. Now, as my time as Executive Director comes to a close, I'd like to give a special thanks to the Sherman Center and the Generate Faculty Advisors. I'd also like to give a special shout out to Ted Johnson for all the support that he has provided me throughout my time in this role. It has been an incredible privilege to have been able to lead an organization that is so special and has been so impactful to not only my career, but to my entire college experience. I am very excited to leave the Executive Director position in the capable hands of Kat Miner. I'm looking forward to seeing all that Generate will do in the months to come under her leadership.